Do you believe that with nothing more than a single handful of salt poured into your toilet, every streak of misfortune, every trace of sickness, and every shadow of negative energy clinging to your home could disappear instantly? The question may sound absurd at first, too simple, too strange. But throughout history, truths that appear unbelievable often conceal the deepest mysteries. Across countless civilizations, from ancient Egypt to India, from Buddhist monasteries to European folklore, salt has been revered as the crystal of purification. It was never seen as just a seasoning for food. It was protection, medicine, and even a sacred key to the unseen world. Warriors once carried salt as a shield against curses. Priests scattered salt in rituals to drive away restless spirits. Families placed bowls of salt in their homes to guard against sickness and misfortune. And yet, hidden beneath these well-known practices lies a ritual whispered about but rarely discussed: the act of pouring salt into the toilet. Why the toilet? Because it is the place in every home where waste, illness, and stagnant energy flow outward. In many spiritual traditions, the toilet is not simply a physical drain, but a symbolic gateway, a portal through which one can release more than just the physical. By casting salt into this space, you are not only cleaning pipes, but also declaring to the universe, "This negativity leaves my life now." Think of it as severing a cord. The salt doesn't just dissolve, it cuts, cleanses, and transforms. It absorbs the energy that doesn't belong to you, the arguments that echo in your walls, the fatigue that lingers in your body, the bad luck that seems to circle your days, and drags it away into the current, never to return. The ritual is simple, but the intent behind it is profound. You are not just throwing salt, you are commanding your space to reset, calling in clarity, health, and prosperity. And here lies the most unsettling truth. Many who dare to try it report that their homes feel lighter, arguments cease, and opportunities suddenly begin to flow. Was it mere coincidence, or is this ancient wisdom proving itself once again? Of all the substances on earth, why is it salt that holds such an unshakable reputation for protection, cleansing, and renewal? The answer reaches back to the origins of life itself. Salt is the most primordial mineral, born of the sea, the place where all life first emerged. Every crystal of salt carries within it the memory of oceans millions of years old, the pulse of tides that have shaped our planet since the beginning of time. To hold a grain of salt is to hold a fragment of the earth's oldest wisdom, a shard of purity untouched by corruption. That is why salt has always been more than food. In Buddhist temples, monks scatter salt along the outer grounds to guard the sacred space. It is believed that malevolent spirits cannot cross a line of salt, as if its very structure forms a barrier between realms. After funeral rites, salt is often sprinkled on the body before entering the home, ensuring that wandering energies do not follow inside. In Western folklore, salt carries a similar weight. For centuries, people have cast handfuls of salt across thresholds to repel evil. To this day, in some cultures, throwing a pinch of salt over one's left shoulder is said to blind the evil eye, that ancient force of envy and ill will believed to bring ruin. Even in the Bible, salt is a symbol of covenant and permanence, a reminder of the eternal. Why salt? Because unlike wood, stone, or water, salt does not rot, burn, or spoil. It is stable, incorruptible, and eternal. When used with intention, it becomes a bridge between the human world and the pure energy of the universe. To scatter it is to call upon order against chaos, light against darkness, clarity against confusion. So when we pour salt into the toilet, or scatter it at the door, or place it in hidden corners of our home, we are not performing superstition. We are activating one of nature's most ancient contracts. Salt purifies. Salt protects. Salt connects us to the unseen harmony that underlies all things.
It sounds absurd, almost laughable at first. The dirtiest place in your home, the toilet, is actually the most powerful portal for casting away misfortune. And yet, that is exactly what ancient traditions from east to west have long believed. To understand why, we must look beyond the surface. The toilet is not merely a fixture of modern plumbing. Symbolically, it represents release. It is where the body purges what it no longer needs: waste, toxins, decay. But just as it collects physical impurities, it also becomes a silent reservoir for energetic residue. The same way stagnant water breeds bacteria, stagnant energy festers here, absorbing traces of anger, grief, envy, and misfortune that circulate through daily life. In many spiritual systems, this waste energy is seen as a magnet for illness, financial struggle, and conflict. Left unchecked, it does not stay contained. It seeps back into the space you live in, wrapping itself around your home like an invisible fog. That is why a house may feel heavy or oppressive even when it is clean. That is why opportunities vanish, health falters, or relationships sour for no apparent reason. Now imagine what happens when you introduce salt, a natural purifier, into this environment. The salt acts as a sponge, absorbing the low vibrations clinging to the water and ceramic. And when you flush, that entire accumulation, physical and energetic, is swept away, pulled down and out of your living space. This is not random superstition. In Buddhist temples, wastewater systems are often ritually purified to prevent impure chi from re-entering the grounds. In certain Hindu households, salt water is poured into drains during cleansing ceremonies to carry away karmic residue. Even in Western occult practices, ritual banishings involve flushing symbolic materials to symbolize the removal of spiritual blockages. Your toilet, then, is more than a place of disposal. It is a gateway of release. By consciously using it as part of a cleansing ritual, you transform it from a mundane necessity into a powerful tool of renewal. Neglect the lowest places in your home, and negativity will linger. But approach them with intention, and they become your strongest allies. When salt meets the swirling water of the toilet, it's not just waste being washed away, it's the weight of misfortune disappearing into the flow of the universe.
There are rituals that sound almost laughable at first, yet once you experience them, you realize they carry a hidden force beyond explanation. Pouring salt into the toilet is one of those forgotten practices. Who would ever imagine that the filthiest place in the house, the one we avoid, the very spot where waste is expelled, could actually be the most powerful gateway to release misfortune and the heavy shadows clinging to your life? In ancient spiritual beliefs, the toilet was never just a practical necessity. It was seen as a vessel where impure energies gathered, a silent breeding ground of negativity. Left unchecked, these stagnant forces were thought to seep back into the home, poisoning health, draining wealth, and bringing endless misfortune. That is why this ritual is whispered about as a way of sealing the gate of bad luck, cutting it off at the very root. To perform it, you cannot approach casually. Treat it as if you are stepping into an ancient rite. Timing is essential. Dawn, when the first rays of light pierce the darkness, or dusk, when day surrenders to night, are considered the most potent moments, when the veil between light and shadow is thinnest. On the first day of the lunar month, or on the full moon, the ritual's effectiveness magnifies, for those are the sacred thresholds of cosmic renewal. All you need is a handful of pure, white sea salt. But if you wish to amplify the energy, add a few drops of sandalwood or lavender oil. Their fragrance has long been believed to ward off darkness and open the channels of serenity. Stand before the toilet. Close your eyes and take 3 slow, deep breaths. With each inhale, you step away from the ordinary world. With each exhale, you align yourself with the silent currents of unseen energy. When your breath calms, clasp the salt tightly in your palm and whisper, "Let all misfortune leave this place. Only peace and fortune remain." Do not underestimate these words. Spoken with intent, they imprint your will upon every grain of salt, turning them into crystalline vessels charged with your very essence. Then open your eyes and look down at the still water. It may appear mundane, but in that moment, it becomes a hidden gateway of release. Drop the salt. Watch the grains fall and dissolve, as if drawing the darkness out of your life. When you press the flush, imagine a great spiral of water sweeping away not only the salt, but the unseen weight you've carried, illness, conflict, poverty, and fear, all spiraling down into nothingness. As the water roars, sense the shift, the burdens leaving, the air around you lightening, the home itself sighing with relief. When the sound fades, the ritual is done. Wash your hands with cold water, an act of purification, of sealing the intention. Then smile, not out of habit, but out of the strange weightlessness you'll feel, as though a hidden chain has just been unlocked. This is not a superstition to laugh at. It is a reminder that you hold the power to confront and release the shadows clinging to you. From that moment onward, the toilet is no longer a place of waste alone. It is the portal through which your misfortunes have been carried away, grain by grain, wave by wave, until all that remains is silence, peace, and the promise of new fortune.
When the ritual is complete, the true transformation does not always arrive with thunder or spectacle. Instead, it creeps in quietly, like dawn dissolving the last shadows of night. Those who have practiced this ancient act of purification often speak of subtle but undeniable shifts in their lives, changes that seem small at first, yet ripple outward with growing force. Old debts, once thought impossible to recover, suddenly begin to move. A debtor who vanished for years may reappear, or forgotten money finds its way back through unexpected channels. Skeptics might call it coincidence, but the ancients insisted it was the release of stagnant energy, unclogging the spiritual pathways through which abundance flows. Within the home, the effects are even more striking. Lingering fatigue, the kind that no medicine seems to cure, begins to lift. The heavy air that once pressed upon the household feels lighter, as if the walls themselves exhale. Members of the family who were often irritable, caught in endless arguments, discover themselves speaking more gently, laughing more often. The sharp edges of conflict soften, and what once was a house of tension begins to glow with a quiet warmth. And then comes the most mysterious effect, the flow of money. Where financial strain once dominated, new opportunities appear almost as if summoned. Business ventures that were stagnant begin to grow. Sudden offers of work or investment arrive, and unexpected windfalls slip through doors that once seemed locked. The explanation, according to spiritual tradition, is simple. Prosperity cannot enter a space heavy with negative energy. When the salt draws away misfortune and the toilet flush carries it into nothingness, the stagnant gates open and fortune finally has room to flow in. It is not magic in the sense of illusion, it is alignment. Just as stagnant water must be drained before a river can flow freely again, stagnant energy must be removed
before life can regain its vitality. That is why the ancients treated the ritual not as a superstition, but as a practical cleansing of the unseen forces around them. So after performing it, watch carefully. Notice the debts that shift, the health that steadies, the laughter that returns, the money that begins to flow. These are not mere signs of luck. They are confirmations that the ritual has done its work, and that your home, your sacred space, is once again aligned with the greater harmony of the universe.
Every ancient ritual carries a hidden truth. It is not the object itself that holds power, but the intention behind it. Salt, water, even the toilet, on their own, they are nothing but ordinary. Yet, when combined with focus, belief, and sacred intent, they become tools that open the gates between the seen and the unseen. This ritual works only if you approach it with genuine trust and sincerity. If you perform it casually, as if mocking the tradition or simply trying it out for fun, then it is nothing more than grains of salt dissolving in water, a meaningless gesture lost in the everyday flow of life. But if you stand before that small porcelain gate with your heart steady, your mind sharp, and your voice clear in its command, then the ritual transforms. What was once only salt becomes a seal of protection. What was once only water becomes the river that carries away every shadow clinging to your life. Mystics throughout history warned of this. Belief is the spark that awakens dormant forces. Without it, even the most sacred act falls flat. With it, even the simplest gesture, like dropping a pinch of salt, becomes a ritual strong enough to cut cords of misfortune, illness, and despair. So tonight, pause before you sleep. Let the silence of your home surround you, and let your doubts drift away like mist. Take a handful of salt, feel its weight in your palm, and know that you are holding more than a mineral. You are holding a key. Step toward the toilet, breathe deeply, and when you release the salt, release also your fears, your burdens, and the chains of energy that have held you back. Then listen as the water swirls, carrying away not just grains, but darkness itself. And when the air feels lighter, when you sense that invisible weight lifting from your chest, remember, this was never about salt or water. It was about you, your will, your belief, your readiness to let go. So I leave you with a question that only you can answer. Tonight, will you dare to pour a handful of salt into the toilet? You may be astonished at how quickly the heaviness in your life disappears into nothingness.